Hi guys, Geoffrey here, and welcome to another video, another interview with one of my clients, Luke Phillips. Before I start this video and this interview, I wanted to give you a bit of backstory to this interview. So with most of the interviews I do, I usually do it with people who have reconciled, who have gone from 0 to 100. And with Luke's interview right here, this is more of 0 to maybe 50 or 60%, where he's still not reconciled yet. Things are still in the progress, but he's learned a lot of the principles enough and the internal shifts enough to really feel confident of his own growth and the fact that when you master the processes, you're going to master the outcome as well eventually. It's just a matter of time. And so I want you to see what it looks like in the middle of the journey and show you that the processes when you're in the middle of a journey and when after you reconcile or before you reconcile doesn't really change. It stays exactly the same. And in fact, the journey should not change and the process should not change. If it does change for you before and after reconciliation, you're doing something wrong usually. And I'm going to show you also what real confidence in finding the right process and growing in the right process looks like as well. So really, this should show you that if you really follow the processes, that getting your wins is just something that's a matter of time. It's a guarantee if you become irreplaceable. So with that, I'll start with this interview and we'll follow up with another interview with Luke in a couple of months' time when his circumstances, his outcome is caught up to him a bit more. So with that said, let's get started. Hi guys, Geoffrey here again, and welcome back to my channel. Today we have another client interview for you. Here I have Luke Phillips with me. And sorry for the weird lighting, especially then the weird background as well. I'm on vacation right now and I'm on someone's house right now. So, but Luke, I guess tell the audience here about how things were like when you first started the program and paint us a picture of what that was like.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of background to it in a way, but I'll give you skinny. So me and the missus hadn't been intimate for about 7 months. The longest time I've ever not been intimate whilst being in a relationship. And I knew something was up, but I didn't know what. And I was trying everything to kind of like make amends. Like, what if I do a bit extra here? What if I do? And I do a lot anyway, like, don't get me wrong. Not blowing smoke up my own ass, but yeah, I do quite a lot. Fix everything around the house, at work. I'm a good dad, I do everything that I should do, I thought. So yeah, it was really puzzling me. I was like, what's going on? So I whittled it down to maybe something's going on elsewhere. Maybe she's interested in someone else or seeing someone else, whatever. But yeah, one night we had a quite a nice night. And I thought I'd try it on. So I did, and she pulled away as she had been quite a while. And I just said to her, what's up? Do you not want to? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, is there a reason why? I just don't feel like it. Okay. So I left it there. I didn't want to press. I didn't want to, get into an argument. It's quite early in the morning. Well, it was about midnight around there. So she fell asleep and I was laying awake all pissed off, like, pent up, pissed off and going, what's going on? What's going on? Anyway, I needed the toilet about 1:30. So I went to the loo and she'd left her Apple Watch on top of the tank. And I was like, do I, don't I? And I was like, I've never felt any doubt in trusting her, never doubted her for a second. And I was like, sod it, I'm gonna have a look. So I did, and we both know each other's codes to our phones. That's how open we are, and how. So I did. I looked, and I saw a particular message from a guy from work, and there was nothing untowards in the actual writing of the message. It was just the fact that he was putting kisses and she was returning kisses, and she doesn't do that. Like, she barely does that to me. She rarely does it, especially to people she don't know. And she's never mentioned him from work or anything like that. So it's early in the morning. I'm pent up. I know something's going on with our relationship. So 2 + 2 = 6. I go off, I got dressed for work. I was red hot, and I used to, like you, I had major anger issues for years, and I took anger management and took a deeper look inside myself to stop myself from going there. So she's never seen me angry. She didn't even see me at my worst then that night. I got dressed for work at 1 a.m. I had work at like 6 a.m. I'm dressed ready for work at 1:30. You know, because
Yeah.
I've got to
I
go
gotta get out of here. Yeah.
I don't want an argument, but I want to say it, but I don't. And she kind of woke up me mid-flow, pacing and muttering and what's up? I'll tell you what's up. Fucking who the fuck is this guy? You know. So it went from there. Already a bad start. Yeah, and she stormed off. I told her I looked at her phone and I apologized straight away. I said, sorry, but you know, I've never felt like I needed to do this, but I know something's going on somewhere, and I whittled everything down. It must be this. So anyway, she came downstairs to avoid me. I came downstairs to follow it up. You know, I'm not leaving this now. We've started. Let's go. And we sat down and we had it out a bit. And she said, nothing's going on, this one, X, Y, Z. And I was like, well, what is the problem then? Just tell me what the problem is. And she said, I don't love you anymore.
Yeah.
And I went from fiery to just
I mean, it's shocking, right? It's like, okay, I don't know what else to say anymore. Like,
deep down, I felt that was the case, that she didn't love me anymore. I even had, I fell asleep with my daughter on the sofa, and I had this horrible dream that she was seeing someone else. And this is well before all this, and that she was seeing someone else, and that, and when I asked her what she was doing, she said, well, I don't love you anymore. And I'm not one for believing, you know, having dreams and waking up, but it was just obviously something deep seated going through my mind that obviously played out in the dream. And
like I think your subconscious knew something was off, like the relationship wasn't going as well as it should, and you knew this could be a possibility, but I think your conscious self was trying to just suppress everything. But then eventually your subconscious is like, yeah, look, you know what's happening, like she's not in love anymore. Right?
That was it. And when she said it, it was crushing. And I went through every fucking range of emotion. And I'm sorry for swearing, by the way. Is it okay to
No,
swear?
this is great. Like, in the program, I swear a lot too.
I know you do. I'm terrible.
So what's interesting too is I think you mentioned to me that once you had this altercation where she told you she doesn't love you anymore, she basically took her engagement ring or wedding ring off. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, it's an engagement ring. We were supposed to get married in 2020. COVID, that didn't happen. We moved it again
so she took it off. So she took off that ring and basically said, I don't think we're getting married anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was in October of this year. Is that correct? October 2021.
Yeah. So I after the initial argument, I went to work and whatever. When I came back, I stayed at home for a little bit. We discussed her needing some space to figure herself out, figure her own head out. So I offered to move to my mum's. So when I moved to my mum's, I was coming back to look after our daughter while she was at work, because we worked around each other. And I noticed she didn't have a ring on. So I did ask her about it, and she said, I don't feel like I'm being true to myself wearing it. You know, if I said I don't love you, then I shouldn't be wearing a ring saying I'm engaged to you. And fortunately, I'd already watched some of your videos about like not kicking off a bit. Just a few snippets from the YouTube videos, and so I didn't go off the rails. I was like, okay, yeah, I understand that. You know, played it cool, dying inside.
So what did you discover then? So you also mentioned in your posts and in your messages to me too that you discovered a lot of stuff after the altercation about why she didn't love you anymore. Yeah. What did you find? What was the things that has been brewing for so long that you found?
The key things, and it may seem trivial to some people in the course, because you know, she said I'm a good man and I'm a perfect father, and that struck a chord, because it's like, well, why don't you love me then if I'm not doing anything wrong? I'm not cheated. I don't hit you. I don't, you know, I'm not an alcoholic. You know, all these things I'm not. But what it boiled down to was I wasn't listening. I wasn't giving her credit for anything that came out of her mouth. You know,
and I think Yeah, and I think that's actually the first thing I want to discuss later, Luke, is you mentioned early on in this interview that like, yeah, you were providing for her in a lot of ways, financially, logistically,
Yeah.
maybe even providing as a male figure, how is traditionally defined, how you're
Mm.
supposed to be a male figure. But we always mention this in our client interviews is that's what we call the lower level values,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
I've
in a
been
modern
there.
relationship, women don't need that anymore. They can get money on their own. They can get independence on their own. They can hire a mechanic. They don't need to fix the car. They don't need you to do chores. They want that, but they don't need it anymore. But if that's
Yeah.
the only value you can bring, then it's kind of moot. It's very replaceable.
And I
But
came to
let's table
realize
that.
that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's table that for a bit. So
Yeah.
basically, here, she told you that, hey, you just didn't listen, and I don't feel emotionally connected. I don't feel emotionally fulfilled. And of course, because of that, when the emotional part breaks down, like we talk about in the relationship mountain, right? The sexual part, the passion part goes down as well. And now the sexual fulfillment goes away as well. And
Yeah.
so basically, what are the ingredients that should make for a romantic relationship? What defines a romantic relationship is gone. Now it's a friendship, platonic, really, a business transaction, really. That's not what she wants.
No. And I said to her like at one point, uh, we're not having sex, we hardly do anything together, we hardly talk, we hardly this. I said, it's like we're just friends. I said, in fact, it's not even like that barely at the minute. And that was one of the things I said during the first, like that major altercation,
Yeah.
which obviously is true. Watching your YouTube videos originally was like emotional safety. As soon as you describe the pillars, and if you can't have that one, you got none of them. I was like, okay, so everything's fucking broke then, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta
I got
fix all.
nothing.
I gotta fix all this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
contrast that to how you guys are like now. So you're taking the program for a while now, and I think you've been really, really diligent. It's kind of cool to see your growth in the short amount of time you've been in the program. But
Yeah,
yeah,
two
give us a
months.
picture of what it's like now.
Yeah, so I've been in the program literally, I think 2 days over 2 months, and I took my time, uh, and I often thought I was going too slow. Seeing all these other people like going, I'm going, what the fuck? Where did you get that from? You know, why are they? You know, like so you start comparing yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
And I know I've still got a long way to go, but I think you know I've been fortunate in the fact that she wants to work this out. You know, she stated she wants to work this out early on, so she's given me time to implement frameworks and stuff like that I learned along the way. So at the minute where she's when I moved out, it was a week and a half, and she asked me if I'd like to move back in.
Hmm.
I acknowledged that and said, you know, my heart wants to move straight back in. Sure, why wouldn't I want that? I wouldn't want nothing more, but I think we should at least give it to the end of the week. So that's what you want. And I knew that at the time we were having a really good conversation, and I didn't want that to just come from this. Oh wow, like we're talking, we're getting on. I wanted, and then regret it later. So I thought, why don't you sit on it, you know, just for a bit.
Yeah.
So that was the first sort of point, which was like win. And then I think it was the 25th of November. I'd arranged for our daughter to be babysat and us to go out on a date night, and she came down all ready to go with a ring on her finger.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That was a month and a week after signing up with you, you know.
Yeah.
And
But it's interesting. Like all this is, yes, you did the work in making your changes and nudging her a little bit, but ultimately, a lot of this is really her decision, which is like you don't even need to ask her to like, hey, let's move in or let's put on the ring back. It's really just you showcasing your changes and planting what we call passive seeds. It's just letting your action speak for itself. Um, and you know, when Jared, so every day we have this rundown with the members of my team, right? And I remember for your call when Jared told me about your case and how your call went, what were you were going through and everything like that. In my head, I was like, yeah, open and shut case. Like this is easy. This is like slam dunk. Because you hear some people's cases and you hear like, okay, this is tough. Like they're on the brink of something really, really bad here. And so with the other client interviews, it takes them like 6 months, 8 months, a year. but they'll get there eventually. But for you, it's like, yeah, this is great.
It doesn't like, it didn't feel like it for me, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
The world's just ended. And I must admit, like, coming into the group, seeing some guys, even looking at some of the testimonials before, and before I even signed up, and I was like, wow, some guys have done really well, like, to come back from where they were.
Where they were. Yeah. Yeah.
I am not there, you know, I'm not that far, and I feel kind of lucky, but everyone's issues are relative to them, I suppose.
But that's good, right? Like, the unfortunate thing is that people wait till the last minute. Often the things are very dire before they seek help. And that's the unfortunate thing. Well, you didn't do that. You didn't wait till things were super dire. I think once you noticed, okay, I recognize the problem. Once you recognize the problem, you go for it. But, you know, I can't tell you how many times people go like, oh, I will try to fix this myself before I want to invest anything in this. It's like, hey, if you want to gamble like that, it's up to you. Like, that's totally up to you. So that was November when she put her engagement ring back on.
Yeah.
Now it's this almost Christmas. Yeah. We're recording this. How has things progressed in a month since that moment?
It's been quite stable. You know, I wouldn't say I've had any spikes so far. I mean, I'm constantly checking the climate and the weather, you know, and going, okay, we had a little bit of a slip there, you know, and I must admit I've noticed a slip in myself recently. That's why I've chosen to go back to the start, the version 3 out now. Which I was going to do initially, and then I watched your sort of intro video, and I was like, oh, maybe I can just jump back in there then, because he said if you're halfway through, jump in here. So I was like, okay, I'll jump in there. And now I just realised I should have just gone with my gut and just gone, fuck it, I might as well just start again. Not start again. I don't like saying start again. I might as well just revisit and build upon what I've already built.
Yeah. It's basically taking a second pass throughout the whole program again, because as you take a second pass, like, a lot of people just find new holes, new things they missed the first time around. But, you know, this is a conversation I also have with a lot of my clients too, is that people always think that the moment of reconciliation is like an obvious climactic event, but it never is, right? There are degrees of reconciliation. So your partner has decided to talk through things with you, to work on the relationship, etc. That's might seem insignificant, but that's actually a really, really difficult place to get to. Right?
Yeah.
And if you talk to a lot of therapists, a lot of professionals, they will tell you, if your partner's not willing to work on it, it takes two to tango. It's useless. And a lot of therapists would even stop your sessions if your partner's not willing to work on it. But so I want you to not underestimate what you've done here, but also realize that the moment of reconciliation is never a climactic event. It's always very anticlimactic. It's not like you just one day wake up and you go, this is it, we're at the summit, you know, like we, it never happens like that. There's always going to be issues. It's a gradual thing. And it's almost like that champagne moment problem that we talk about in the program, where, you know, when you're at level 1, you look at level 50 and you go, oh my gosh, that would feel so good when I'm level 50. But the reality is that when you get to level 50, you just got off level 49 and it doesn't feel that special anymore. You know what I mean?
At the minute, with her, everything's better than it has been for probably the best part of a year, maybe a bit longer. And she still won't say she loves me. She wants to be dead cert before she says that, which I appreciate. But to me, at the minute, it just doesn't matter because things are going better. Like, she was actually like recoiling away from me. If I went to put my arm around her in bed, she'd move away. She'd turn away. Yeah. She'd always face away, you know.
Yeah, that's painful to see.
Yeah, and she's turning in, and we've had some like cuddles in bed watching crap on TV, and she'll find my hand and hold my hand sometimes, and that means so much more. I mean, even the other day, she left the porch light on so I could see where I was going when I come home.
Yeah, but the words "I love you" are just words, right? Those gestures actually mean a lot more to me. I care more about that. Yeah.
I actually
But
said that.
let's get into, yeah. So we painted a picture here of like how things were, where she was recoiling, you said, from you, and now it's to the point where like she's voluntarily holding your hands. I mean, by every sense of whatever definition you want to place to what a relationship should be, you have it,
Mm,
right? Now there's always going to be conflicts that you haven't taken care of, but that's normal. Like you're never going to get rid of that. Um, but let's get into the learning lessons here, your takeaways of how you got from point A to point B, or in this case, point A to point Z, maybe.
yeah.
And I want to talk about this notion that you said of your partner wanting to see that your changes are actually legit, because you only been here for 2 months, and I've never seen, like, yes, a lot can happen in 2 months where your partner wants to work on things, but your partner can never really believe you in 2 months.
Mm,
We've never seen that before in 2 months,
no, I
but
think
it's expected because we call this the paradox of change, right? When you start to change your behavior, your partner will take a look at that and go, "There's no way this can be real. There's no way." And so in the short term, she's going to resist you a lot more, because by resisting you, and often she doesn't even do this consciously, that is very subconsciously, because by resisting you, making it hard on you, you get to really see what people are made of. Everyone can fake changes when things are easy, but not everyone can fake changes. But people cannot fake changes when things are hard.
mm,
So sometimes she's making it hard on you and so on. And we call this the paradox of change. And to get through this paradox of change, the requirement here is what we call being untethered, right? That's the first step in it. Because for a lot of relationships, a lot of men especially, their motivation really fluctuates with the status of the relationship. If their partner's giving them a hard time, they say it's hopeless, they go, what's the point of even investing in myself? What's the point of doing this work? What's the point of improving myself? It's not going to lead to anything anyway.
yeah,
But what people don't realize here is that if you do that, if you back down when things are hard, it will show your partner, see, the changes weren't real in the first place.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
if you can be untethered, so people are tethered like that, situation goes down, they go down. It's like a rope that's tying them together. But if you can be untethered and go, okay, she's giving you a hard time, let me thrive even more,
Mm.
then you
Hopefully,
eventually reach a point where your partner can say, like, there is really no reason for Luke to be faking this stuff. Like, he has no ulterior motives here.
mm,
This has to be real. Like, there has to be real.
yeah.
So tell me about your experience here of untethering, because that's the first thing we talk about in the program. Tell us your experience with untethering.
Um, it's fucking hard. It's so linked closely with entropy, I think, because for me, it's like I've noticed as things have got better between us, I've started noticing recently I'm becoming a bit more tethered again, which
Mm.
is something that going back through it, I want to work on. And this has only been a realization in the past couple of days. I'm like, I'm starting to get a bit tethered again here. I need to work on that again. But yeah, it's a tough one to sort of explain how to do it, because for me it was just okay. I don't want to say it like you know how you say by saying untethered, it's like, oh, I don't give a shit. Okay, do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it was really easy for me to go, okay, so yes, I do care, but is it going to change how I go about this?
Yeah, yeah. And I think the way I describe this too is
That kind of simple,
in the new
like
version, right? And in the new version, we describe it as like, evolutionary speaking, our human brain has always been trained to be very outcome dependent, situational dependent, because for the majority of our human existence, we have been hunting and gathering. We
that
didn't have
naturally.
farms, right? So our brains has evolved to where it rewards us to be reactive to the environment. So which is why our mood, our motivation really is just so tied to what other people are saying about us, what's happening, and so on. But if you look at the world today rewards people who are untethered, right?
Mm,
Anything you want to do, you want to lose weight, you want to build a business, you want to build a relationship, it takes a long time. It takes the work you do today, you're not going to see that coming to fruition until maybe 5, 10 years later, honestly, sometimes. So the world doesn't really reward reactiveness, doesn't really reward short-term thinking anymore, doesn't really reward outcome thinking anymore.
Yeah.
Because if you're outcome dependent, there's no way you can have the motivation to fight for something for a year, 3 years, 5 years, and not see anything in return. There's no way. Which is why I think a lot of people struggle to get something big in their lives, because they are not able to fight this human nature that is to be outcome dependent, to be tethered, to be short-term thinkers, and so on. So the first part of being untethered is, let's get our brain, rewire our brain to where we're not so addicted to looking at the outcome to source our motivation, but we're looking at a process and we're enjoying the process intrinsically.
Yeah.
Right? And no matter what happens to the outcome, we're still enjoying the process because we like doing the process, not because we want to have, but because we are. Our identity is there.
Yeah. I mean, doing this is weird. It's so overwhelming at the start. And you're like, oh God, this is hard. How do I do this? And you know it's going to be hard, but still, it's like, I knew she didn't love me, but still, when it happens, it's boom. And then all of a sudden, when stuff starts clicking, you start looking forward to it. Oh, I'll get a couple of hours on this tonight. Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And then you finish a video and you look at the title of the next one. You're like, yeah, I really want to get into that. But
let's do it. Yeah.
Let's just focus on this, you know. But yeah, looking forward to the processes, looking forward to learning something new, and looking forward to working on yourself for yourself, you know. And I think because I've seen good results already, my confidence in the course and the program has grown as well. So now it's not so much like, oh, what does he mean? Just fucking do it. Just do it.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting you mentioned that, because you're kind of touching on the different levels of untethering here, because you could apply untethering to how you take the program, right? You could say, for example, no matter what's happening, the approach that I take, the process that I take to actually going through the program, learning this stuff, learning new mindsets, new principles, etc., is the same. Yeah. And you learn to intrinsically enjoy the process of learning this stuff and growing your knowledge of this stuff. So untetheredness allows you to focus on that, because a lot of people who are tethered, man, one day, like, I can talk to them on Monday and they're super highly charged to, highly motivated to want to do the program. Tuesday, they're so unmotivated because maybe on Monday night, their partner says something, you know what, why are you even taking this program? It's pointless. I just want to divorce anyway. And they're like, yeah, you're right. I don't want to take the program anymore. And it's like, dude, if you can fluctuate in 24 hours that drastically, there's a reason why your partner doesn't see your changes, because your changes aren't real. Yeah. She's testing you and you're failing the test every single day. Yeah. Which brings me to my second application of being tethered or untethered, which is like, you can also apply this to how you execute the processes in your relationship day to day. So I'm sure in your relationship, your partner sometimes makes it easy on you, often makes it hard on you too. She goes hot, then she goes cold again. She goes motivated, she goes unmotivated. She's sure of herself, then unsure of herself. There's a lot of those.
There's something I wanted to touch on there, actually.
Yeah.
You were saying paradox of change, and now you're saying about the hot and cold. And it was something I actually had wanted to bring up, which was I'm getting a bit of that at the minute. I'm getting a bit of hot and cold. You may know through some of my posts, she's been in hospital recently. Mm-hmm. I knew some resistance was going to come from that. She's so independent and she likes to get on with things and she likes her job and she's not allowed to work at the minute. And, you know, they can't find out what's going on at the minute either. So she's, you know, there's a lot going on, stressful things for her. And through that comes frustration. And then through that comes resistance when I want to maybe campaign a little. And she's like, nah, I'm not in the mood to talk. Like, okay, shite. So try and work around, maybe talk about something lighter. That sometimes helps, but sometimes she's just deadpan. No, I don't want to. And it's like, okay, so I'll, you know, 4 PS out the door. I'm here if you need me, you know.
4 PS is 4-part script for people who are listening, by the way.
Yeah. And that's one that I haven't got to practice very well, but when I have executed it, I feel it's gone really well, because a couple of days later, she's like taken heed of what I've said without acknowledging that she's taken heed at the time.
Yeah.
And that's either she doesn't realize she's taken it in and subconsciously she's taken it in, or she has been listening, which is more than likely the case because she's very astute.
No,
And
they're always listening, right? They're always listening. And the funny part is like, you know, you mentioned here, whenever you play out the processes, even though you might not get the immediate gratification of like, oh my gosh, she responded so well to it, she does eventually come back around. And eventually she comes back around, comes back around, comes back around. And eventually that becomes a permanent thing. Because again, you have to go through this deep in the short term where you have to allow your partner to be sure, to be 100% freaking sure that your changes are real. Because she has been fooled and bluffed so many times. She's told herself, okay, maybe Luke is actually a good guy. Maybe I can trust him here.
I think she trusts you. Because I had a good foundation with her. Already being a good guy and being like doing everything a man should, like we said, but all appealing to logic and not emotion. But I think at the start, even then, she always said to me, "Oh, I can always talk to you, and you can always calm me down." And she occasionally, very occasionally, suffers with panic attacks, anxiety, and I've always been able to get her breathing back and calm her down and bring her back round. And it went after we had our daughter, maybe a little leading up to it as well. She said I was really supportive during the pregnancy, but then as soon as our daughter was here, I was kind of like working. I was knackered, you know. I was up with baby as well, you know. We're sharing that, so I just became this fucking zombie about the house. Didn't want to talk about anything. Didn't want to do anything more than I already was because I'm fixing a house up. I'm working, looking after her, and I'm helping with our daughter. You know, none of it I regret doing. I'm just knackered and
the
other stuff, just neglecting it.
But that's also where we talk about tetheredness, right? That's where that's a third implication of it. So again, the first implication is like, if you're untethered, that should allow you to learn the program better and actually grow faster. Number two, when you are untethered, it allows you to be consistent through the ups and downs. Because again, your partner really needs to see your changes are real. They're permanent. They're not fake.
Yeah.
To do that, she needs to make sure that your changes are here to stay through the thick and thin. And to do that, you better be untethered and you better be consistent no matter what happens. Up, down, even the more down it goes, the more up you go, the more consistent you become. Right? The opportunities, right? That's the second implication of being untethered. Now, you're mentioning the third implication of being untethered here, right? Which is, so like your story, for example, when you're untethered, when things get hard, right? Whether that's hardness from your partner's point of view, your partner making it hard, or life making it hard. When you're untethered, your mood, your motivation is not so tied to external circumstances. You won't get as knackered when life gets tough anymore, which brings you in a position where you're not so exhausted from life outcomes in general. It puts you in a position where you can't really let yourself go, really. Right.
Yeah. And I even said to her, so we talked about the zombie state I've been in and just going through the motions, and soon as probably about 3 weeks after into this course, because I hit this course like ground running, like when I did start. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was at my mum's, weren't I, for the first 2 weeks. So it was like, I was just going work, coming back to my mum's. Do you want something to eat? I've already ate upstairs. I haven't got them with me. I've got notebooks. Like I must have bought
mountains of notebooks.
Yeah. Like, and I'm writing everything down. You're saying don't plagiarize me, but I'm like, no, because this is how I take stuff in, you know. Like I have to listen and write it. If I just listen, I will zone out. Like it's just part of my, I was like it at school, you know, and that's my way. So my notebooks are rich. I could plagiarize you, no problem.
I love it. So yeah, it's great because like I never really get to talk about the implications of what untetheredness can do for you, because it's not just a way to help you get a relationship back. This is a way of life. This will change every way that you live, you think, you operate, and it'll just make you. It's a freeing concept.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like
just about to
this.
say, it makes you feel light and
Makes you
awake.
so light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
And the
felt that.
lightness for me, like when I discovered this for the first time in my life, the lightness for me is like literally, it's like living through life, not, and people are not able to touch you. You could, and like imagine this: if people cannot touch you as you move through life, you could go to the darkest alleys. You could venture into any part of the world to get to where you want to go faster, and you wouldn't be scared. Like
Yeah,
there's
nothing
nothing
like
that scares you anymore.
it.
That's such a beautiful feeling for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite quite a nice analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
I do it for a living. I'm a security officer and quite high end, not like your mall security, or mal as we say over here. But
Yeah.
but yeah, my whole game at work is de-escalating situations, preferably using my gob over physical. Um, but because I'm completely untethered, which way that goes. So if we end up having a roll around, that's fine. But if I can do it with my words, then bonus. But because I'm untethered from that outcome, because I don't care which way they want to play it, um, it's easy. And they always
Yeah.
call me. I'm one of the guys that they'll call up to deal with certain situations sometimes, or certain people that are known to us, because I'm the one that can just go, "Come on, lads, blah blah blah," on the level, and they
Yeah.
go, "Yeah, all right," and they
Yeah,
and
I love that.
either
I love
disperse
that.
because we want them to disperse, or I've even taught people around to coming back to stores after they've nicked a load of stuff because, you know, I've just put it to them in a way that they've gone, yeah, you know what, I could make this harder right now on myself, and we could have a fight about it, and I'll probably still get nicked, but then get done for assault as well, or I can just come back to the store and they'll probably get a slap on the wrist and sent on their way.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I want to address the second point here about being untethered, which is how you get to the point of being untethered, right? So, the way you describe it in the program, and I want you to build off of this, is kind of in two ways. So, one is it's just simple rewiring of the brain, right? So, our brain's dopamine systems has been wired for so long, for centuries, for over a millennia,
Mm.
to respond and react to the immediate surrounding because we're hunting and gathering for so long. And only in the last, I would say, couple of 100 years after the Industrial Revolution, where now we can farm, not only in the literal sense of the word, but farm things, right? But farm knowledge, farm businesses, and work for the longer term. That we are no longer rewarded for the short term stuff. We need to think long term. So we basically need to rewire our dopamine systems, our brain systems, to stop seeking so much short term, but more long term, be more untethered to the immediate surroundings, etc. And the first thing we do is like we have a bunch of exercises that we do to allow you to rewire your brain. But also a biggest part of this also is what we call identity shifting, right? We say, are you doing something because you want to have, or are you doing something because you are?
Yeah,
And I think you
literally
alluded to
coming back.
this. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you alluded to this too, where you said, I don't really care about the outcome anymore. I just want to go home and go to my classroom that is this computer and the relationship revival, the program. And I just want to do it. I don't care about the outcome. I'm just going to play out these processes no matter what, because I actually enjoy this. I look forward to it. I'm so addicted to it.
yeah.
Tell me how that evolved for you. Like, how did you get to the point where you get addicted to the processes here? Because that's such a crucial part of the journey.
All right, man. I don't know if I can even answer it. Originally, it was like, right, I've got to do this to fix my relationship. Like everyone starts out at that point. Everyone says it. Will you get on your bed, please? Sorry, on laminate flooring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. Sorry, lost myself. It was just like, man, I can't even explain it. Something just clicked in me, and I was just like, you know what's most important right now is getting this right, and that's where my focus needs to be. And I think the fact that as soon as I started implementing it and seeing it work, it was easy for me to just go, yeah. So this is what
Yeah.
worked. I don't
Yeah.
need to focus on that, anything else. It was very similar to putting the blinkers on, putting the blinders on, you know. Um, it's amazing how many people want to give you their advice, and the ones that really want to give you their advice and are really adamant about you taking their advice are the ones in failed relationships.
Yeah.
I think that's because they're the ones that have thought on it and thought they found an answer, even though you're still divorced and single. And the ones that are actually happy and successful have no fucking clue how they do it. It's
And
just
I think
happened.
your journey was actually quite similar to being untethered. It's actually quite similar to most people. And here's how I describe it and how I understand it now is when people join the program, they're obviously very tethered. And then they do the program and they understand the theoretical nature of what untetheredness means, right? It's like, hey, be untethered because here's why it works. Be untethered because here's the implications. Be untethered and here's how. And we say basically, and you understand theoretically for the first time, how much you want something. Like you could spend all day long wanting something, desiring something. Like people talk about, if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, he says, have a vision board. Think about and dream about what you want every single day. Right? No matter how much you dream about that, or no matter how bad you feel for not getting what you want. You could cry all day long. You could complain. You could get angry at the world. It's not gonna get you closer to what you want. What's going to get you closer to what you want is the process. Is you following the process, having the right process, and following the right process every single day.
Doing the
So
work.
at first, you theoretically understand that, but then you're like, it's just theory. It's like, I get it. I don't feel it. The second stage is when you witness hundreds of men who are literally living the processes and getting outcomes because of it. Left and right, you see this in the Facebook group, for example. You see this everywhere. And you get a taste of your first like experiential. So from conceptual to experiential evidence of, okay, this is legit. And then you try to start and then that catalyzes you to start the process, to do the process yourself. And you get to stage 3, which is like when you get firsthand experiential evidence, this shit works. That's when that becomes conviction. That's when you can make it part of your identity and you can say like, that's easy. No.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like because it happened so quick, the good stuff, through following the processes, not just by magic. Yeah, it was just really easy for me to go, okay, this is. I had a proper flat one night. I was struggling to understand hypothetical, antithetical thinking, and I literally slammed my notebook down. I was like, fuck yeah, I don't get this. Why don't I get this? Like by myself, like having a bit of a moment. I went upstairs and I was chuntering away to myself and I just blurted out exactly what it was. And I went, I'm talking out loud to myself here and I'm going, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. I thought, right, tomorrow, because it's late at night. I always do this stuff late at night because my day is so busy, out of my control busy. And I was like, right, tomorrow I'm going to go on look at some of the crucial calls, crucial coaching calls, and see if anyone's like already asked this before I bother you. And I was like, okay. And then I saw Michael. I won't say his last name just in case you don't want me to, but I saw Michael's coaching call with you, and you literally had the conversation about antithetical thinking, and I was like, yeah, I was right, cool, okay. Next.
Yeah I mean there's so much like once you get to that third stage is when you feel the internal conviction that like, okay, I'm going on the right path, and you can believe, you can trust, you can enjoy the process. That's when you see the most results fast. And when I say results, I don't mean like it's a linear trajectory going up. Like we said, it might go down first to where like your partner wants to test you first, but then eventually shoots up, right? Um, but it's amazing to me how when you look at the people in the program in the group, even when they get their outcome, a lot of these people are like having great relationships now with the partner they wanted to have great relationships with. They keep going anyway. It's like day one mentality every single day. They don't need to tell themselves, I'm done. I have the outcome. It's like, okay, I have the outcome. Great. I do the same things. I don't have the outcome. Great. I still do the same things. It's like that quote in Zen Buddhism. It's like, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Nothing changes. Every day stays the same.
Yeah, I must admit, I actually said to her yesterday, things are going great. You know, I feel things are going great. I presume you feel the same. She was like, yeah, it's going well. And I was like, yeah, better than before. But you know what? I know it can be better, you know, and it can always be better. But only through my understanding of this, you know. In my mind, it's like this is what has made it better already. And I'm not even halfway through. I was 50% through version 2. You know, I was at phase 1, module 7. You know, that's where I was. You know, it's hardly, to me. I've still hardly skimmed the surface of this course.
Yeah, it's
When
this
you
course
asked me
is so
for
rich.
when
Yeah,
you asked
exactly.
me not to do this, I was like, me, really? I'm still in
I,
phase 1.
and I think it's important to clarify here that like the reason why I picked you, Luke, too, is like we always do interviews with people who are already at the finish line, right? I want to do some interviews where people are in the middle of the journey, and I want people to realize here that whether you're in the middle of a journey, you're at the end of the journey, people's mindsets should never change. The approach should never change. It's the same exact thing. The processes don't change if you're in the middle of the process or at the end of it. The only thing that changes is the outcome. The outcome has taken more time. In one version, the outcome has taken doesn't have enough time. In the other version, the outcome has taken more time to mature. That's all the difference is. But the things you do every day don't change. It's again like if you look at a lot of athletes, for example, the process they have before they were in the NBA, for example, is the same. Maybe it's less robust, but it's the same. They work as hard. And when they're in the NBA, it's the same.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing changes.
I'm a martial artist and I've been doing it for 27 years. And when you spoke about performers mentality, I was like, yeah, that's complete sense. You know what I mean? Like I train and train and train. I've been training since I was 10 years old. I wasn't always in physical bouts when I first started my journey. I started going into it as I got older.
Yeah.
And when this is unnerving. Like when you ask me to do it, like, oh God, that's a bit unnerving. Being on, you know, blokes watching this and women watching this. And but you put me in an octagon, you put me in a ring, and I am completely zen. Like it's me and the other person. You could have crowd, you could have no crowd. To me, there is no crowd anyway, you know. It's game time. All that prep. This is what I do. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
easy.
I love that. And that's, trust me, mark my words. We're going to do another interview soon, Luke. Mark my words. In about 6 months' time, if you keep being consistent, you will have a very certain outcome.
I think
you're going to break through that paradox of change, 100%.
Things can only get better, to be honest, like the way it's been going.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, that's how I truly feel. I truly feel that I'm happy where we are right now, but I feel like I could be easily 10 times better right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
10 times, yeah, sure. Just put a number on it, you know.
But okay, third point here. You mentioned one of the things that's been crucial to your development has been the Bulletproof vest, which I expect that to be because it's a massive part of the program as well.
Yeah.
And we talk about the difference between how most people manage emotions versus how we try to manage emotions, right? So most people, they apply what we call the surviving mindset. This is literally when you're using your willpower. The analogy, the imagery I have in my head is like people clenching their fists or like clenching their asshole to keep their shit in, right? Like they're
Yeah.
just, I can take it. It's okay. I can take it. It's fine. Just let it go. You know? But doing this is like you saying, I want to grow my immune system by sitting on a couch and just freaking willing my way into like having a better immune system. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No.
Eventually, as things get tougher and tougher and tougher, you will eventually break and you will eventually explode
Yeah.
and undo all the months you've been keeping your shit in. Basically, you get massive diarrhea.
Yeah.
Right. And
It will just go
we do
everywhere.
it as the thriving mindset, which is let's change your paradigms. Let's change the way you see the world. Because again, emotions are formed by the way you interpret the world. You put 100 people in the same room looking at the exact same things, and they will have 100 vastly different emotions about the same thing because the way they interpret it is very different.
Yeah.
So emotions are not caused by the event, but by the interpretation. If you want to change your emotions, you better change your interpretation. And you better understand how to do it instantaneously, automatically, before the emotions even arise.
Yeah. And definitely still working on that.
Mm.
Always working on it. I think for me, the first sort of sign was the victim mindset. I was like, one of my first posts after watching some of the videos, I was like, oh, I feel so lucky that I don't have a victim mindset, because I'm one of these people that if someone says, if I'm at work and I fuck up and someone goes, you fucked up, I go, oh yeah, I fucked up. Sorry, that won't happen again.
Yeah.
So no problem. Like finding fault
Admitting
in.
mistakes. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I learned from that or whatever.
learn
Mm.
from that. If I don't learn from it, then fair enough. Sack me. But and then as soon as I put that post up, like the next day, I'm there at the computer trying to work Google Docs, and I'm going, "Ah, oh, fucking hate computers. I was never good at school in this shit, man. Classroom mentality, And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm victimizing myself. I'm sitting there going, you're not smart enough to work this computer right now. That's a victim mindset. Right, let's get rid of that. Okay, you know what I mean? Right, have a word with yourself. Don't be a melt. Get on with it. And that was it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
that's part of it, right? So we talk about the Bulletproof Vest and how we talk about this program will show you so many layers of new paradigms that you need to change. We talk about the fundamental attribution error. And for those of you who are listening, that's a big word, but if you literally Google my name with fundamental attribution error, you'll find a video on that. So feel free to do that. We talk about how to interpret resistance differently, how to interpret things like lies, stonewalling, gaslighting in a different way that makes us feel not so helpless and so angry. We talk about how to interpret conflicts. I mean, there's so many layers to your bulletproof vest. But the idea is learn them, understand them, the principles of how to reinterpret the world, understand the mechanism by which you can program your mind so that when your partner stonewalls you, when you discover a lie your partner told you, your initial instinct is not to get angry, but you think through this through a different paradigm to where you don't even feel angry. But like you said, mwah, it's
yeah.
like this, what a massive opportunity. What an awesome thing. Yes. Right.
And like you say, the tougher it is, if you deal with it in a correct manner and don't just go, oh shit, this is how do I deal with this? Let's argue back or blah, blah, blah. You just take the time to go through the processes. All of a sudden, it's like, oh wow, he dealt with that really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've frozen, by the way, on my screen. Have I frozen on
Yeah,
yours?
you're frozen on mine, but I can still hear your audio, so we can still keep going, I think.
Cool.
No worries. Okay, you're back. You're back.
Hello.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and this is the part that people don't understand, Luke, right? It's like you look at again top athletes again, and you look at top martial artists. It's the same thing. What differentiates the world class versus like an average pro at something. They're both really good. Like they're as flexible, they're as fast, as good with the mastery of the techniques. What's different is that unexplainable mindset. You look at an average six man or a bench player in basketball. They're fast, they're good, their skills are amazing. But when the pressure comes, because they're using the surviving mindset, they crumble. Again, they're still tethered to the outcome. So as the more pressure builds, they're like, oh, let me hold it together, right? But with this thriving mindset, what happens if you look at LeBron, for example, you give him pressure, that's when he shines. In fact, he doesn't become his best until things become really hard. And so for you, right, like when you have the thriving mindset, when a lot of our clients too, the average person who hasn't taken the program will say, oh, I cannot keep my calm because my partner said this, because my partner made it hard on me. Well, in this program, you're like, I kept my calm and I thrived because my partner made it harder on me.
Yeah.
Very different narratives. But one thrives, one survives.
And I
And
think
that's a
even
crucial difference.
when you do that and you've been able to plant the right seeds at the same time, and then days later you get results from that as well. So you're like, not only did I handle that situation perfectly, but then I executed part of the frameworks perfectly, and now the results are coming back perfectly. And like you say, that was process over outcome. The outcome of her coming back and going boom was like a result of going through them steps. It wasn't me going, just telling her how it is and going, that's how you will think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it
This
doesn't
is
work
what
like
I
that.
want from this, you know.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
let my dog out because she won't shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So
I hear your dog too. So feel free. Yeah.
come on, you. What do you know?
Sorry, guys. Quick intermission. Um, hopefully, this is really helpful for you right now. We try to make these videos to be something of an educational thing. So I know we publish usually YouTube videos once a week, but hopefully these interviews act as basically multiple videos at once. So hope you guys are enjoying this. Luke, you're back.
Yes.
Um,
I couldn't do
we
it with
should,
a whine in my ear.
no, yeah. It seems like you have multiple dogs here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, too. Um, so next point, right, is okay. So we talked about the bulletproof vest, and I really wanted to take that time to really clarify for people what the bulletproof vest is, because a lot of people I think misunderstand it. A lot of people understand this concept very vaguely, and they say like, okay, I gotta just stay tough no matter what. Got it. And that's not what we mean. It's actually more finessed, more advanced than that. But all this all this work we're doing, the internal work we're doing of being untethered, of being bulletproof, is really to allow us to play out the frameworks a lot better. And we're not going to talk about what the frameworks are because it's too complex here. We have a whole phase on that already. We have like, I think right now it's like 20 hours of videos on that. Right?
Or just
But
look
I
at
do want to talk about the effects of the frameworks. So obviously, part of creating safety is using the frameworks to create safety, to allow your partner to talk to you, to express stuff to you. But the other side to safety too, and knowing the frameworks, is for you to be able to understand a framework by which you can express yourself in a proper way. And so not only does it allow your partner to express, but it allows you to express as well. Tell me your experience with the frameworks here.
Okay, so that was quite a good point actually, because it's when you are executing the frameworks and trying to find out initially what's the matter and how you can sort of bridge these gaps of misunderstanding and conflict, you're just solely focused on what she has to say.
Mm-hmm.
So 3/4 looping, when you've like snagged the fish and you're like, okay, now 3/4 loop, tire it out, let it come to you. So, just let her give you the information, and then obviously you're using a 5 to then have your say, if she will let you. Obviously, like I say, you don't want to go into it too much, but yeah, I found it it was kind of difficult to still haven't perfected it, but it was kind of difficult to not start a conversation, because like I say, she's been open to fixing this, but finding the right time to start the conversation.
So is that you think that's something you struggle with right now, trying to find the right time?
No, that was something I struggled with at the
At the
start.
start. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
She can be quite closed off to opening up still. So I know I'm still working on emotional safety in general. But yeah, I think at the start it was difficult to go, when do I bring this up, you know? But then I started learning about hedging, and that was like, okay, this has opened a new avenue,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think that's an interesting epiphany there because, we always say in the program too, if you have the right process, you'll thrive no matter what. If you have the wrong process, or if you don't know what the process is, you will struggle no matter what.
Mm,
And so, as when people first start learning the frameworks, they're in this position in their journey where they understand it theoretically again, and they try to use the examples that I gave in the program as a script.
mm,
But then they realize that the script that I gave doesn't apply to them often. It's like mine is different.
yeah,
And so you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to apply this yet. But then you go graduate into like, okay, now that I practice with the frameworks a bit more, I realize that these are frameworks that these are like 7 frameworks that allow us to literally address millions of conversations, and millions. And you start to see like evidence of that, right? It's like,
mm,
okay, great. Then they go to this third stage, which is when they have this conviction now of like, okay, literally, if I just know the frameworks and I think about planning a conversation or responding to a conversation using the frameworks, I'll figure out a way. Like you said, oh yeah, that's the hedge. That's the
yeah.
4-part script. That's whatever. It's so easy now.
And I
Then
think
you get to the last stage. Last stage when you get to the point where you're like, I don't need to worry about conversations anymore. Like literally, she can make this hard. She can resist. I can dance around everything.
and that's it. I mean, at the start, I was at work, so like sometimes I work 4 hours, sometimes I work 10 hours, and I was on this 10-hour shift, and I can't remember exactly. Well, it's irrelevant anyway what the actual topic was, but I was like, right, visualization, right. So I wrote down a couple of possible campaigns in my notebook, and I got that in my vest at work, and I'm
Yeah.
like walking around. Every time I'm on tea break, I'm like having a cup of coffee somewhere. I'm like, right, okay.
That's so British of you. Like tea break.
Tea break.
They don't say coffee break. Tea
Gotta have
break.
a tea break. Yeah. I drink coffee more than tea, but in
It's
England
just
it's called.
yeah.
But yeah, like 15 minutes we're allowed to go sit somewhere and like have a chill. So I did everything but chill. I was like on it. I was on my phone. I was like sometimes going through just recapping. Sometimes it was like mental map. Sometimes it was meditation. And this time it was like, right, visualize all day, every spare minute. I'm going to visualize on this conversation. I'm going to visualize the worst possible things she could say, you know, and just like let that sink in and
Yeah.
just breathe it out and go, okay, right, that could come up. Okay, let's just cross that bridge when we because you can only visualize so much of the conversation, like you say. Otherwise, I'm going to start focusing on an outcome of the conversation, like if she says this, then I say that, then they said it, and she'll never say those exact words. So you can't have the exact response. So you can only go so far. But that was how I started using the frameworks, was a solid visualization, and then into it. Obviously, you can't visualize on the fly when she brings something up. It's like, okay, game time.
Yeah. Too late. Yeah, that's game time.
Just give me 15 minutes. I need the toilet. Sit down. Okay, let's go. Don't work like that. You're having that conversation now. So yeah, so I think it's good that I got to practice, and she gave me time to do me and do the program and come to her with things. And now when she brings stuff to me, it's quite nice because I'm not now starting the conversation. I'm not having to worry about starting the conversation. She's starting the conversation. Then we're just free flowing, you know, and free flowing through the loops. Another thing, the thanking is so important. Thanking her for sharing, thanking her for giving her opinion. Thank you for being a dick right now. You know, it's great. And he started thanking me and being appreciative of things I've been doing, things I would normally do anyway, but now she's saying, "Oh, thanks for doing that earlier," or "Thanks for saying that."
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
And in text as well. Thank you.
yeah,
It's not a problem. I
and,
appreciate
and
it.
it goes back to the victim mindset again, right? Because what's interesting is I hear a lot of people saying this. For example, they say, "Oh yeah, I tried talking to my partner already, and she's just not capable of communicating." I'm like, okay, let's break that down a bit. That statement.
There's a lot to
You
it.
you yeah, a lot wrong to that statement. You tried talking to your partner. Maybe you brought it up in the wrong way. Maybe, do you ever wonder that maybe it's the way you bring it up, and your partner doesn't respond well to it?
And we're all
So
guilty of it.
yeah, and somehow it's her fault that she doesn't take what you brought up in the wrong way properly. You
Yeah.
know, it's like there was this comedian, I forgot who. Um, I think she said, "Yeah. I what was the example? It's really funny. I probably won't make anyone laugh here, but it's something like, oh yeah, my partner and I got into a fight. I said this, and she got herself, she got herself upset. Like, look at that diction there. Like,
Yeah.
people never say, I got her upset. We say even like in our diction, oh yeah, then she got upset, or she got herself upset. It's like, dude, can you play more of a victim role than that? Right? Where you're literally saying, nothing is my fault, it's all their fault. But like you said, when you begin to understand the right process, the right principles, you realize that you are a very important part of this feedback loop that is between you and your partner. If you bring up things in the wrong way, that will make your partner respond badly. Your partner responds badly, makes you respond badly to that as well. And it keeps going. But if you can just either start a positive feedback loop or break a negative feedback loop and start a positive one, you'll be amazed at how much your partner's behavior changes as well. And we keep repeating this as a recurring pattern in every one of our interviews, because that's something so crucial that people understand and that people don't understand. It's people look at their relationship right now and they look at it as a snapshot. They look at their partner's toxic behavior. They look at their partner's like resistance, and they say, "This, if she's resisting now, if she's doing this now, that means it's impossible." But they don't recognize the potential for change, the possibility for change. They don't recognize that. And when people recognize the possibility for change, that's when people like you will realize, oh, now I'm motivated. You know,
Yeah. And
like
complete new level of confidence from it.
a whole new level of confidence to where you don't shy away from any conversations. You could see your partner in a bad mood, and you somehow know exactly what framework to use, what iteration of the framework to use to be able to like approach her and go, now I can make her happier. I can actually cheer her up here.
Or you can even, like, if you can pick up on it that well, that like she's really not in the mood to talk, but you really want to talk, you can dive straight in with a part of the 4-part script. You can just
Exactly.
straight away with a oh, my door's open. Obviously not just that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now, you don't want a conversation. Now, I've really had something I want to say, but I'll let you do you and blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things you can say that you can, so many ways of presenting it as well. But the shame I think for a lot of people is when they get to this position where their processes, the process they know on how to converse, how to talk is not working. And they start to blame it on their partner. And they start to basically convince themselves that either the relationship is not worth fighting for, or it's not worth them learning these skills because they can't see a higher potential than what they imagine right now.
Yeah, and I think
It's
that's
almost like,
pull your head out or just quit.
Yeah. And it's almost like, do you have South Park where you guys are at?
Yeah, I grew up watching South Park.
You grew up, you know how Cartman, like when he's like getting made fun of for like whatever.
Screw you
He's like,
guys.
screw you guys, I'm going home. It's like, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of adult grown men do that sometimes in their relationship, right? It's not working, whatever they're doing. And then they're like, screw you, screw you, it's your fault, whatever.
Yeah, the big
Right.
fuck this, I'm out sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's
But
too
then,
hard for me to understand, like whatever.
yeah. But then with a lot of these men, what happens is like, if let's say a week later, their partner does a nice gesture, then they go like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is worth fighting for. It's like you
Yeah,
totally flip flop because
yeah,
you're either losing or not losing. It's like, again, if you understand the right process, I think you'd be very surprised at one, how much your partner's behavior changes, but also how much more motivation you'll feel about the relationship.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've noticed about saying earlier about me being a bit tethered again. It's like she's thrown a bit of shade my way because she's been tired and whatnot, and I've sort of like felt myself getting annoyed, and I'm like, damn it, I know that's coming back. Now I've got a bloody hole somewhere. I've got a plug, and I've got
Yeah.
to tether again. And there's no shame in it. You know what I mean? Like I say, it's been 2 months, man. I've made good ground, and I'm not ashamed to go, okay, still
I love
need to
it.
work, because I
Yeah.
wasn't I knew I still had to work anyway.
Yeah.
But when you feel it and you catch it and you go, yeah, okay, definite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. So look, I think we're actually done this for over an hour now. So we actually have to start wrapping up, unfortunately. Like, man, time passes so fast when you're having these kind of really,
that's
really
gone
like
really quick.
nice, productive interviews. Yeah. But I guess like give people like a kind of a taste of what your experience was like in the program. So, I think when people first join the program, they get very overwhelmed because they look at the length of the videos, the richness, people getting success and like speaking language that you don't understand, having all these mindsets that you're like, why do they think like that? Why do they operate like this?
Yeah.
And how that sense of your experience in the program evolved over time as well?
Yeah, I mean, that is the exact word I'd use. Like, I found it a bit overwhelming at first. I've never considered myself book smart. I'm street smart, I always say. Again, like, connotations on your old self, and that's it. That's who I
Yeah.
am. Well, it's not, because I've been learning, and I've been doing fucking well at learning. So, but like, I had a victim mindset when it came to the classroom based learning and using computers. And literally kicked myself up the arse and went, right, just get on with it, because what are you going to do? I didn't take this course on lightly. Like, I'm not a rich man. This isn't throwaway money for me. This is like most of my savings. So, and that's not to say your course is expensive. It's not at all. I literally weighed up counselors, how much they charge per hour, and how many hours would that get me? And I was like, not enough. This is for life.
Yeah.
No brainer there. Yes, it's
Yeah.
in one go, but it's for life. Anyway, back to this. So so I found it a bit overwhelming at first, and the more you get into it, especially if you're interacting on the group, like anyone watching this that isn't interacting on the Facebook group, do it, because it's massive. And you say it is absolutely.
And I think
massive.
the distinction the important distinction to have here is like we have two groups. We have the free one that I talk about in the YouTube videos. We also have the paid one. The free one, there's not a lot of engagement. I would say 99.9% of people there hasn't taken the program yet. The program is the culture is just massively different. Like you don't see people complaining, being negative, failing, nothing like that.
And if they do complain, they get slapped and brought back up.
Not just by me, but like literally all these members are like, what the F are you doing?
and it's literally like they start drowning and everyone just goes, boom, get up here. Get on with it. It's not a harsh thing. It's not like you're going like it's not like people are bullying each other. It's literally like, dude, do you realize what you just said? Reread what you just wrote. Get on with it.
Tough love.
Yeah, it's tough love. I was in the free group before, and Jason said, I'll boot you from the free group so you can focus on this group. And I said, well, actually, I was already going to leave it because I figured I didn't want to cross information from people that aren't doing the program.
Yeah.
To people that are. So, and he was like, yes, all of this. But within the group, I mean, seeing other people's stories, motivating. Being able to help people when they ask questions is so rewarding. And
Yeah.
you know, I do it lightly, only if I'm sure on the answer, because I don't want to give people the wrong information myself. People that are ahead of me, you know.
Yeah.
But then the crucial calls and, you know, the looms and all
Yeah.
that, they've been absolutely like, well, they've saved you a lot of time with me anyway.
I think that was groundbreaking for a lot of our members too, because they really get to see these processes being played out in real life scenarios by other members.
Yeah.
And they get to see how that gets applied to a real life setting. And most importantly, I think people get to see, dude, I'm not unique.
Yeah. And the fact that for me, most of my hard questions that I've never put on a post really, or come to you about, because first of all, I've gone, right, okay, mental map, figure it yourself, or meditate on it literally. I don't mean like sitting there going I mean like, right, okay, what does this really mean? Going to crucial coaching calls and scanning through like the list and going, that's my question, boom, and then did that answer it? Yeah, or no, okay, keep it again.
That's so crucial though. Like, look, I can't tell you how crucial that is, and people don't understand this, right? Like the question I don't understand when people ask is, they ask, am I gonna get to talk to you directly all the time? Because I want to tell you about my unique situation.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you realize, like, and what's funny also is that people are willing to, people are willing to pay more. Like people say to me, I'm willing to pay you more to be able to talk to you more often. I'm like, do you realize that's a silly thing to do? Because in your relationship, you're not going to be having me there.
Yeah,
you need to figure things. Yeah, you need to figure these things out by yourself. Yeah. So if you get used to talking to me about everything and coming to me first before you can figure things out on your own, you're in big trouble, my man.
If you don't figure it out, you've got no chance of internal shift.
No chance.
No chance of building your bulletproof vest, because you're just being told what to do.
Yeah.
There's no way of doing it. You've got to have them aha moments. You've got to go, boom. Oh, fuck me. I get that now. Like, there is no, let me hold your hand the whole way, you know?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with this one concept. I have tried everything in my power to figure this out. Now I'm asking you. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yep.
But yeah.
All right, Luke. We do have to wrap this up. Oh my God. I'm having so much fun. We're going to have a part 2, but let's follow you up like maybe 3-4 months down the line. When things are continuing to progress, and let's see where you are, and we can kind of put your interview back to back, and that'd be exciting, huh?
Well, we've still kept the wedding date for July next year, so who knows?
Okay, yeah. We're actually in California right now because we're planning our wedding here. It's a lot of work, man. Wedding planning, my gosh.
We'd already got it all sorted. Supposed to be last year, weren't it?
Yeah. All right, Luke. I'll leave you with that. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
More than welcome.
So for everyone else here, I hope this was helpful as well. And if you want to kind of experience the program that Luke is talking about here, I'm going to put a link down below this video and in the comments below or the description box below this video as well to a link to the masterclass. So that masterclass will be about an hour and a half where we teach you what the program is about. And at the end of the masterclass, we'll also show you how to apply for the program as well. Once you submit your application, we'll take a look at it. We are very selective with the people we work with. We would say we reject about 70 to 80% of applicants that we get. So make sure you fill in the survey properly. But once you do and it's approved, you have a call with a member of my team. And if approved, then we'll also enroll you in the program as well. But with that said, thanks, Luke. Thanks, guys, for tuning in this whole time, an hour, 20 minutes here.
I am told
Have
I can
wonderful
talk.
Day. Yeah. All right, Luke, signing off. Thank you.
See you, mate.
Cheers, man. Bye.